I'm joined now in the studio by Turan Gafarlı, who is a researcher at TRT World's very own research centre. Thank you so much for coming into the studio. So you've spent some time researching Turkey, China and Russia's stance on what's happening in Venezuela. I was really interested in China's interest in the Maduro government. Tell us more about that.
Yes, China's stance was really interesting on this issue because except the other big players like USA and Russia, they are not very directly speaking on the issue. However, we see that China has direct support to Maduro's government, and most of it built its own economic purposes. And China is much more interested on oil in Venezuela, as we know that Venezuela's oil is almost $35 trillion huge, and China's negotiations with Maduro government went well, and they have 100% support from Venezuela's national oil company. However, as a guaranteed delivery from Venezuela's oil company was not fulfilled because the economic collapse in Venezuela, and they can only deliver about 60–70% what is promised. Therefore, China is needed very much Maduro government's stability in the region to have its own fulfilled oil interests.
I think it's very important. Something we don't talk about often enough is, we talk about these competing interests, but we leave out the fact that it is an oil-rich nation. Very, very important. Let's talk a little bit about, I've heard reports that there are possibly soldiers for hire on the ground in Venezuela.
Yes, we heard about it before Guaido's Twitter video, as we know that special private companies in USA, especially named as a Blackwater, they try to propose a plan that to send 5,000 soldiers, especially from Colombia, to support the Guaido's movement. Therefore, as we know that Blackwater previously acted in Iraq and Afghanistan, and many of analysts accused Blackwater to have a dirty business in those countries. Therefore, their support as a private company towards a democratic country, for many analysts, it's not acceptable. However, as it's happened, we will see another external threat towards the Venezuelan government, especially for Maduro.
Let's talk a little bit about military options. The US has said it's not planning on sending troops in immediately, but that it is planning for all contingencies, and it's always planning for all contingencies in its support for Guaido. But I'm interested, are any of Maduro's supporters, I'm thinking the likes of Russia, are they doing the same? Well,
Russia and Venezuela is not a very new ally. They almost have their military alliance since 2001. And as we saw on earlier March, they sent 100 military specialists to Caracas, and USA fiercely answered that if it's Russian involvement in Venezuelan affairs. However, as the Ministry of Defense and Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Russia said that Russia is just sending military specialists to organize Maduro government's possible response to external threat. So they said that Russia's stance should be followed by USA by not involving directly to the business. However, we are not very sure if the Russian ground troops can enter or are already there. But we can most definitely say that Venezuela government are equipped with Russian weapons, and they're getting help from the Russian specialists.
Thank you for that. Great to have you on the programme. That's Turan Gafarlı, a researcher at TRT World's Research Centre.